Hello friends, I am OmnusI, and here I'm going to step out of character a little bit, where I am Rob, and today I'm celebrating my 20th year wedding anniversary. Pretty happy with that. And it's been quite a ride. Without the circumstances I'm in, the Lair of OmnusI never would have happened. So if you're along for the ride just because of the Lair of OmnusI, well, it's an important thing for me to celebrate. Clearly, 20 years is a long mark. A lot of people don't make it that far, and I'm pretty happy that I have. If you know much about me, I'm pretty measured in my approaches to, dealing with other people. Although I like to give people the benefit of the doubt as much as I can, I generally am fairly cautious when I make friends. I don't, people who act foolishly or in ways that, just can turn me off pretty quickly. And, my lovely wife, Melissa, we we dated for over 7 years before I finally worked up the courage to ask her, because I wanted to make sure she was the one. My parents split up when I was a teenager, young teenager, and I wanted to make sure that didn't happen to me. So, it's an abundance of caution, but she put up with it, and it seems to have paid off. But in the scope of that, obviously I'm happy and I'm celebrating the day. This may not come out today when I shoot this, but it should come out by tomorrow. But as far as that goes, what I'd like to talk about briefly are the purpose of anniversaries and events. Because that's kind of how we humans keep track of things and their importance. We try to put things into a context. And sometimes big round numbers just are easier to remember or seem that much more impressive. And I'm not saying we've had the hardest time of it. Obviously everybody has challenges in any relationship, and we certainly have. And our son is 15 now, so having a teenager provokes its own set of challenges as well. But he's a good kid. Very, very happy with him too and how he's going along. But in general, I'm really kind of trying to focus on a variety of things. Obviously, we look back as far as in gaming, for instance. It's easy to look back at, say, 1974, which was the year that Dungeons and Dragons started getting published, and we've marked many of the anniversaries of that time. I also was established in 1974. Coincidence? Probably. But it does explain why I haven't been playing since D&D first came out, because I was just being born. So, it is what it is. But we do a lot of the time like to kind of keep an eye on things and measure out how time has progressed. And quite honestly, in August, we'll be celebrating the 5th year anniversary of the Lair of OmnusI, when I started doing these kind of things. And it's kind of neat to go back and watch how this all began and how it came to be. Quite honestly, we'll look back at what built up the Lair of OmnusI, what kind of made it possible and added to its construction. A lot of that is tied into my marriage, because I have this house around me, which has produced this kind of sounding stage. It's not perfect, but it's been enough that I've been able to make over 400 videos or so, and keep doing this for 5 years. Not all consistently all the time, but fairly regularly. And I've got a certain measure of peace and security here, and it really does help me to make my videos for you. Also, quite simply, the fact that my wife is a very understanding woman, and a lot of people really would not be able to tolerate from their spouse the amount of time that I put into my hobby, my various hobbies, I should say, both in terms of gaming, dedicating one night a week that I play this role-playing game with or without her. I've done it both. Now she's playing in my games, and I'm pretty happy with that. So that's another time that we do spend together, even with other people, our friends. But also, the amount of time I do spend down here working on various details. Now, of course, writing and trying to produce things, my project for GUI Cube and others, reading through all these different manuals, preparing for the game. That does take some time. And, of course, then, shooting these videos, editing these videos, and uploading these videos takes a certain amount of time. Time which undoubtedly has cost me in other areas. I mean, the house isn't quite as well maintained as I'd like it to be. And a lot of things have been sacrificed on that altar of, the game. And all the different things that I want to do and all the creative outputs I want to put into it. And she never says no. Sometimes when she should, I think, looking back on it and being fair and objective, admittedly. There are certainly times that I've spent frittering away at this when I probably should have done other things. But that's really what's kind of made her so ideal for this all-consuming passion of mine for entertainment and entertaining other people, which is really a dual nature. If you really seek to entertain yourself, video games, I mean, it's entertaining you, and you can compete against other people or play by yourself, and video games are great for somebody who just cares about entertainment. But when it comes to entertaining others, when I was able to, doing it on the theater and being able to entertain other people, alongside of a group of peers who were also actors on the stage, was great. I loved it so much. It's still, to this day, if I could do it, I would keep doing it. But really on another scale is this role-playing game hobby, because I can still do many of the things I was able to do in theater and perform in front of other people. It's a more participatory entertainment, and it's not just me entertaining. It's everybody takes a part, but it's still along the same lines, and it's still something that I very much crave and enjoy doing. So, she's understood me through all of this, so I gotta say thanks for all of that. But also, I also have with her somebody that I can always turn to and talk to. And she herself is a gamer. She doesn't have the breadth of experience that I do. She doesn't quite have the same level of passion for it all that I do. But she's willing to follow along and play, and she does work at understanding some of the game concepts and things. Either that or she's really good at just nodding her head and making me believe she knows what I'm talking about. I like to think, though, that she's pretty brilliant in her own way, and even though she's not dedicated as I am, as I said, she's still darn good. And she's a good role player. She does make the game more interesting in the games she's in, which is great. It's really what you ideally want. Also, she's my sounding board for a lot of things. If I ask if this idea is too far out, and she thinks it is, she'll tell me. She's somebody that I trust. And again, I think people really need that. Whether it's that best friend that you can go to and say, hey, I got this great idea. And they'll be like, maybe it's not the best idea. Maybe you should work on it some more. And that's great to have people like that. It's also nice to have people who are all just gung-ho for you. And yeah, anything you do, it's great. And yeah, I have numbers of people who've always told me, you should get this published. This is good. And you should do this. And I always drag my feet. But you need those kind of people pushing you on and spurring you. It's really hard to make it without that kind of thing going on. And, as I said, I've been pretty lucky, all things considered. Have I done the best with the circumstances I have? No, I'm only now getting published, and I've got tons and tons of material and so much that's left to be done. But we're trying. We're going to make an effort, and hopefully another 20 years would be cool. But yeah, and another thing too, she does allow me sometimes, again, to indulge this hobby in buying this massive library of Deadwood books that I've got. Again, many of them for games that I have never played and never run. And am I going to? I hope so. I certainly do. And this year I've really pledged to knock some of these out. I mean, I'm so happy that I've been able to run Dungeons and Dragons again from back in my days, using in some cases the same books that I used back then. And I was really happy to play Ghostbusters for the first time. And this year I'm also continuing to run my Mighty Protectors game and scratching that itch to run a superheroes game. So, I am diversifying. I am getting to get some of this experience in these other games and other systems down. And I got a lot of prospects moving forward. And when this coronavirus thing has been licked and we can, go out a bit more freely, still haven't gotten the shots. That's coming next month. We'll be getting the coronavirus vaccine. Thank God. But once that happens, it's going to open up even more, because I intend to really pour a lot of effort into having a once-a-month gaming session with the local kids and other gamers in the area, and trying to rebuild the community that was just really getting underway with my group, at least, and try to draw in more people and see what I can do about getting a regular group together and trying to develop that a bit. I've had a number of ideas going through my mind, whether I'm going to do like an Adventures League and have small, concentrated nibbles of role-playing games. I'm not going to stick to the Adventures League format, per se, if I did that. I let people play, actual characters and not have these draconian measures over how you can create your character and stuff, and what can be given out and what can't. It'd be my game, but still using their adventures, it could give some insight that I've seen on some Adventures League content as to what's going on behind them, and why they are a certain way, and if I can improve some of them, because some of my experiences have been kind of hit or miss. But also introducing some of these people to some of these old games that haven't been played in this area in a very long time. I'm talking about games like Twilight 2000. I think some people really like that experience, or maybe playing a game like I'm kind of scared to try it, but maybe even like Ars Magica. Maybe break out Gary Gygax's Dangerous Journeys. Something like that. And, give people a chance at something that they've never seen in print. And, would have to go chasing down an old copy to find these days. There's a lot to celebrate, but there's a lot of potential yet. It's not that we've accomplished everything we set out to accomplish. And I don't think Anniversaries really are at their best when they're merely memorials to something that's happened in the past and is done. I think Anniversaries are great when they're a continuation. They're an acknowledgement of how far you've come, but also looking forward to what's going on. Clearly, like I said, I'm looking forward to more than 20 years of being married. I'm still energized and excited about what's coming up. I'm a bit older now. Some of the bloom is off the rose a little bit, but I've sharpened my mind, and I've got a lot of experiences and a lot of perspective, a lot of depth to my character, I think, as I find new ways to entertain us and just the grim doggedness to keep going. I mean, I've been at the same job that I've had for 23 years now. People can say that, but I do it because it allows us to have all the things that we have, rather than just skittering off and going to try something else, the new hot thing that might leave me miserable or what have you. Now I'm trying the writing thing, and a little scary too, but not nearly as scary. I got into a really good situation there. But I guess what I'm really here to say, on top of everything, of course, thank you to my wife. I'm very grateful, very, everything. I love you dearly, and, this is as sincere as you ever hear here. I'm from the bottom of my heart, mean it. And I'm very grateful for, all the things we've been through have accomplished for us. Having a healthy, good person as a son. Perfect? No. I don't know anybody who's got perfect kids. But he's a good kid. Really good kid. I'm very happy that, we have a roof that doesn't leak, and vehicles take us where we need to go, and a lot of things that I just can't take for granted. I should never take for granted, and I don't. Everything that we have is a little bit of a blessing. Of course, to look back at people who've shared the journey with us who are no longer here, and that's always a sad thing with Anniversaries too. Every time that, say, another anniversary for Dungeons & Dragons makes us realize that the people who created the game are gone, long gone, and just their legacy remains. With me, yeah, it would have been great if my father was still around to celebrate our 20th anniversary together, but he's not. It would have been great, for another example is this will be the 20th anniversary of being in this house. And it would be great if it would be if we could celebrate it with the group that I started playing in this basement with. But I can't. Things have happened, and that's another time, and other people that have gone their own way. All but one are no longer in my group. So I've only got one person who's still here, who's been here for these 20 years. Which, that one person just is amazing, knowing how, volatile these groups can be. But I'm still grateful that he's here, and, would not wish for a situation where, I completely lost touch with him too. All in all, moving forward, there's a lot of good things. After 5 years of the Lair of OmnusI, I've made a number of sub-channels, tried a number of things. I tried running my own game with many quests. For better or for worse, some people did have some fun with it, so awesome. Very happy for that. I've created my own role-playing game, even though it's not launched. It's my passion project, my hobby. I'm hoping that in another year I will be a published author and have my stuff out through GUI Cube, and maybe that'll kick my butt enough to get me to do all these other great things that I'm sure I'm capable of and should be doing. So, yeah, there's so many blessings and so many things to look forward to. Hopefully you're along for the ride and want to share this journey with me a little bit. I know I don't talk about myself and my personal life as much as some YouTubers do. I'm really kind of more of a private person than that, and I try to let OmnusI be very objective. That's what I think the gaming community can really use, is someone who calls it like it is, not like how they wish it was, or tries to understand the circumstances from all angles rather than picking one biased slice of perspective and, getting angry at things and calling out for different things. That's just not me, and that's not what I wanted OmnusI to be. Never what I wanted OmnusI to be. I always want OmnusI to be your friend in the gaming community, no matter who you are, what angle you come from, whatever you're interested in terms of entertainment. Even if it's movies, if it's video games, if it's, of course, board games, card games, and tabletop role-playing games, I'm there to talk with you. I'm there to share stories. I want to show you new ways to enjoy some of these games maybe, or just introduce you to some games you maybe never have seen before. I want to talk game design with those people who love thinking about game design and new ways of playing the game. Hopefully that's why you're here. Hopefully that's something that resonates with you. If it is, awesome. And if you haven't yet, the usual, subscribe, hit the notification button, and we'll keep talking. If you want something and you just can't find it, or you don't like the flavor of whatever's out there on tap, anytime leave me a comment and I'll be glad to talk about it. Standing offer. Not too many people do that, but standing offer. You tell me what you want to see and I'll do it. Within reason, of course. But this being an important anniversary for me, I'm just kind of glowing inside, and so I'm happy to have reached this point. I'm happy to be here, and again, I'm looking forward to continuing on for quite some time to come. Now, in August 1st, which was my very first video that I ever made, we'll probably be having something special too. Of course, we're looking forward to, if again, the RPG Brigade's remnants do another RPG a day. I look forward to doing that again this year too. It's where I got my start after all. 2016 RPG a day. Go ahead and look it up if you'd like. Those were some pretty rough videos. But it was where I was getting my start and getting my legs underneath me, so that was invaluable practice. Then my first State of the Dungeon address, I believe, was, I think it was September 11th of 2016. Or no, that was my first official Lair of OmnusI video. So, yeah. I am really looking forward to moving forward and doing all these things that are going through my head, and I do hope to share the journey with you. And if you know anybody else who's looking for a friend in the YouTube community, who makes custom content for people. I got longevity. I've got ambition. The only thing I don't have is a huge amount of time, but I'm working on it, and hopefully soon we'll be putting out a great deal more content. Also, I'm thinking about throwing out another podcast, so that's exciting. So, thank you again, and I will talk to you next time I make one of these videos. So as both Rob and OmnusI, thank you for joining me, and next time I'll see you here in the Lair of OmnusI. Farewell!